To meet people on the internet.
So how do you really know if the person is who they say they are? Our Melissa Reed talked to the victim of a Cleveland catfish and joined us now with her story.
Well, Trace, you know, this kind of thing has been going on for a while, but after the whole Monte Teo mess and that bizarre, weird story of him having some girlfriend he didn't know about, well, the word catfish is now a household word. So what exactly is a catfish? Well, it's a reference to a type of internet dating hoax. So who would do such a thing, and how could someone fall for it? Well, I went fishing for answers and talked to two victims of a catfish they say is right here in Cleveland.
We've all seen the headlines.
Possibly the most beautiful girl I've ever met.
But how could someone fall victim to a catfish? We traveled to Michigan to find out.
Hi, Devin.
Hi.
Meet Devin Cunningham of Tecumseh.
Looking back on it, it's like, wow, you know, it seems so obvious.
The victim of a catfish several years ago.
When I moved back home, as you see, this is a pretty small town. A lot of my friends were still gone, so I didn't have a lot of people to go hang out with and socialize with. And so that's when the idea of kind of exploring the internet came about.
That's where she met David, a 20-something musician from Cleveland.
He did talk about enjoying sports, and he had a big family.
The two started an online relationship for several years, but never met.
There was always excuses, you know, for not meeting up, like medical conditions, car accidents, whether it involved him or family members. There was a death in the family.
Devin was in love with David, but as it turned out, David was really a catfish in Cleveland.
I mean, it's still frustrating for me that I fell for something like that, because I honestly didn't think that I would. You know, when I was just like, God, I cannot believe that happened to me. How could I let that happen?
And not only was David a catfish, David was really a woman.
When I talked to him, it didn't ever sound like a girl to me, ever. And I did talk to a sister on the phone whose voice was clearly a female voice. I was talking to him, and he gave the phone to her. And so I spoke to them back to back, and I remember kind of laughing about it. I was like, man, you guys talk so much alike.
And it was the same person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did Devin connect the dots? Well, it happened after David's other victims started reaching out to each other via the internet. They started sharing pictures, personal stories, information, and that's when one girl recognized David's phone number.
One of the girls gave me the number they had for her, and when I went to call it, I didn't realize that I knew the phone number, and then when I called it, she picked up the phone.
We tracked down a woman here in Cleveland who says she not only knew the catfish, but was also a victim herself. She did not want her face shown.
She introduced me to him. She told me that she knew his family, she knew him, and that she wanted me to meet this guy because she thought that we would really get along.
Talking to all of these girls and getting all this information together and learning more about this person in Cleveland, we've been able to make links between the stories of, you know, things that the guy online says and then things that are real to her real life.
Links that are posted on a website Devin created to expose the catfish online.
So now there's a list of different names that he's used, she's used. There's a list of phone numbers. There's pictures. There's personal stories. So you can basically kind of see how his story has evolved over the years.
As for Devin, she's learned a valuable life lesson, and she's even managed to find real love, this time online.
I wouldn't be where I'm at today now if I hadn't experienced that. You know, I wouldn't be where I'm at now with my relationship. You know, I feel like things kind of played out for a reason, the way that they did.
All right, so there's a good end to that story, but at latest check of Devin's website, there are at least 20 other women who allegedly have come forward claiming to be victims of this catfish from Cleveland. Bill and Tracy.
It's just amazing that some of these online relationships go on for years.
Yes, and they don't meet, and they said there's steady excuses, and there are always dramatic life excuses that happen that prohibit them from meeting.
It's a good warning for everybody. The internet's fun, but it's also dangerous. We saw the Manti Teo thing play out. Quite bizarre, and these things are just odd. So you just need to be aware of what's going on, and it's a pretend world out there in many cases.
And to understand this story is to understand the catfish, which is someone that pretends to be someone else. It's like a bait and switch.
Sure.
And then they pretend to be someone else for whatever reason. reasons that they have, but the reality is they're messing with other people's lives, and it's a lie.